Hey everyone, welcome back to the Soundbite. My name is Andrew, and today we're going to be jumping back into a little bit of Judas Priest with a song called Free Will Burning off the Defenders of the Faith album from 1984. This was a suggestion made by Mr. Metalhead. So thank you very much for the suggestion. Based on my last reaction, which was from the classic Breaking the Law song, which I kind of felt had a bit of a pop element to it. So it was suggested to check out something that's a bit more metal, I guess you could say. I'm not really sure about this song, to be honest. I don't know if I've heard it. I guess I'll find out if once we get into it. There's a lot of Judas Priest stuff that I've never heard before. I've only listened to some of the sort of more hit songs, I guess you could say. So this could be completely brand new to me. It could be a first time reaction. I guess we'll find out. But Free Will Burning is a song to check out for now, off the Defenders of the Faith album, which I do know of. I've seen the cover before. It kind of reminds me for some reason of Transformers a little bit, just the way that it's sort of with the colors and stuff like that, I guess. Actually reminds me of an old cartoon. This is going to throw a few people off maybe, called Voltron. Anyone remember Voltron at all? Very, very old cartoon. It was kind of pre-Transformers, I guess, and it was all kind of a mix between Transformers and Power Rangers, I guess, to some extent. A little bit of a mix. But I was a little kid when it was on TV, and I was obsessed with it. So the album cover kind of reminds me of that a little bit. So anyway, let's get straight into it with Free Will Burning by Judas Priest. Bit more energy with this one. Okay, just pause it quickly right there. I don't think I've heard this song before, so this is the first time I'm hearing this. If I have heard the song, it would have been just somewhere in the background that I just hadn't really paid much attention to. But I honestly cannot remember this song at all. So this is the first time, as far as I know, that I'm hearing this song, at least intentionally anyway. Yeah, it sounds like Judas Priest. It sounds like early power metal as well. It kind of I think we talked about this last time in the last video with Judas Priest, that obviously they sort of inspired and pioneered a lot of that power metal sound, but the band's not really known as a power metal band. They're kind of known as a straight up, new wave of British heavy metal, or just a heavy metal band. But the influences they've had on all the power metal bands, obviously, and obviously the thrash bands as well, is undeniable. So I can kind of see where that's coming from just on this song alone, because the other one, Breaking the Law, was definitely different to this one. That one kind of had more of a sort of like catchy sort of like, like I said, pop. I don't want to use the word pop element because it's not a pop song, but it's kind of got that sort of feel to it. This is a bit more kind of like a Motorhead kind of thing, sort of like just an energy sort of fueled straight up heavy metal song. So sounds good so far anyway. Glad that I'm hearing this for the first time. Harmonies. I'll just pause it right there before we get to the last minute of the song. But it's got a lot of energy to it. It's kind of fast moving, fast paced. Like I said before, you can see where the influences are coming from with the power metal and a bit of the thrash metal as well. Yeah, Rob Halford's singing his voice out as always. Yeah, it's one of the it's one of the things about this is style of music with this classic heavy metal sound is it's kind of time stamped. It is one of those things where um you can kind of tell what era it is, what year, not well, maybe not a year, but certainly what decade at the very least. It's very kind of in the moment. That's one of the things that is about this kind of music is that it's very time stamped to that period, and you can kind of just track it back to like, oh, this is like around that time. It's a bit harder to sort of. I was having a discussion with this with someone just the other week about this. How the last 20 years it doesn't feel like you can kind of timestamp anything at all. Something that could have come out 15 years ago could have come out last week. But this, I mean, if you heard this in 1995, you would have said, oh, this is definitely from like the early 80s. It has that sort of sound to it. And that's one of the things about music, well, at least for the legacy bands especially, is that you can just sort of tell like where exactly in what era of music and stuff that it's from. So that's like, some people kind of like that idea, and some people kind of see that as a downside. Either way, I mean, you've got to take the music for what it's worth for that period as well, and kind of because some people would hear this and go, "Oh, it's too kind of whatever, it's too old, it's too tame or whatever." But if you're a genuine metalhead, you got to appreciate the fact that this band is doing this kind of music at this time. Not everyone was doing it, and not everyone certainly appreciated it. So it's one of those things that I think in decades to come, people just look on this era and be like, just in awe, I guess, because of the fact that they're just creating. I mean, at the time, especially, they were creating new music, creating genres, creating new styles of music. And it definitely feels it's a bit more difficult to do that now, because whether it's because everything feels like everything's been already done before, or they're just putting on new spins on stuff that's already done. I mean, who knows? I mean, I'd be interested to see what Judas Priest's influences were, who inspired them to kind of create this kind of music, because everyone kind of looks at them as being a pioneer and a huge influence, but who sort of inspired them to sort of go out and do this kind of music? Let me know if you know the story behind some of their own influences with Judas Priest. Wow, that was an ending and a half. Jesus. Rob singing his voice out right there, like it was he was hitting some high notes right there. Yeah, like phenomenal. Like like I said before, I never really got into Judas Priest, but one thing that always stood out to me was Rob Halford and his vocals. And then when I finally got to see him live a few years back, just absolutely blown away by like not just the fact that he's doing it at his age, but like just the fact that he sings with that voice and with that kind of power, you know. That's not the kind of thing that I necessarily think you can learn. I think either you've got it and you kind of just work on it, or you don't, because not everyone can sing like that. I mean, I know someone who actually does some Judas Priest covers in a band, and the Rob Halford stuff is definitely it's definitely challenging. That's from what I've been told. So, which is I can definitely understand that for sure. So anyway, thank you to Mr. Metalhead for suggesting this one. The Free Will Burning from Judas Priest off the 1984 album Defenders of the Faith. I will definitely jump into more Judas Priest for sure. So let me know what else I should check out, and I'll check it out for sure. Especially the ones that are not so the big sort of hit songs, you know what I mean? Because those are the ones that I kind of already know, obviously. So checking out stuff like that where I've never really heard the song before. I definitely want to dig into some more of that. So thank you as always for tuning in, and please subscribe if you haven't. Thank you to those who have subscribed. Please check us out on our social medias. All the links are in the description, and I will see you in the next video.